Hello, and welcome to our very first session for the fall 2014 semester of Hebrew. We are going to, in this week's sessions, go through chapters 1 through 3, and I'll take on one chapter per YouTube session. So this is going to be session 1A, and there's going to be a 1B and a 1C. In 1A, I'd like to talk with you about the alphabet. The Hebrew alphabet is composed of 23 consonants. Now, Hebrew is a consonantal language, meaning that all the words in Hebrew were originally written with just consonants and no vowels. The vowels were added over the centuries by the rabbis and the scribes to help with pronunciation. But in your more true, genuine Hebrew books, the vowels won't even be present because people who know Hebrew and Hebrew is their native language, so to speak, they don't need the vowels because they intuitively know the pronunciation. But the vowels are included there for those of us who are not born into an arena that allows us to speak Hebrew as a first or second language. So let's first go through the alphabet. It is paramount that you memorize your alphabet, your Begay Kapat letters, your final forms, and your vowels, because everything that we do this semester is built on you knowing the letters of the alphabet and how those letters change when certain things happen that will change the meaning and translation of the word. So what I recommend that you might want to do is just get some index cards, write the letters of the alphabet on those index cards and rehearse them over and over again so that you have them completely memorized by the end of this week. So let's go over the alphabet. You have this sheet in your book. This isn't anything new to you. You have this at the very front in the first chapter of your book. The first Hebrew letter is Aleph, and it's silent. Bet, and it has the B sound as in boy. Gimel, the G sound as in God. Daleth, the D sound as in day. Hey, the H sound as in hay. The Wa has a W sound as in way. Zion has the Z sound as in Zion. The Het has the Ch as in Bach. It's the guttural, has that guttural sound. Tet has the T sound as in toy. And it's really very difficult to distinguish the difference between the tet and the ta because they're two different letters, but they have the same identical sound. Then there's the yod, which is the smallest letter of the Hebrew alphabet. It has the Y sound as in yes. Kaf has the K sound as in king. The lamed, the L sound as in lion. Mem, M as in mother. Nun, N as in now. Samik, S as in sin. Ayin, like Aleph, is silent. Pei has the P sound as in pastor. The Sade has the TS sound as in boots. The Kof, K sound as in king, identical to the sound as calf. The Resh, R sound as in run. Sin, let me get this up close so you can see this. The Sin has a dot on the left prong, and it's seen, and it has an S sound as in sin. Then the Sheen has the dot on the right side, and it has the SH sound as in ship. And then there's Ta. It has the T sound as in toy. Now, the scene, when you actually look at it and it's not mirrored back to you, the scene has the dot on the left prong and the sheen has the dot on the right prong. And you'll need to work on memorizing the difference between those two. Now, in Hebrew, unlike English, we write from left to right. We write, and again, here comes the mirror thing, we write from this direction to that direction. But in Hebrew, they write from right to left. I'm sorry, from right to left. I'm kind of ambidextrous, so I don't know my right from my left. In Hebrew, it's written in the opposite direction. You would expect to see the alphabet, if it were written correctly, you would expect it to see it A, B, C, D. But in Hebrew, it's Aleph, Beth, Gimel, Daleth, Hey, Wa, Zion, and on down the line. So it's written in the opposite direction. It's written from right to left, where English is written from left to right. So you'll have to practice with that just a little bit. Now, there are 5 final forms, and the final form is used for a letter of the Hebrew alphabet when it is the last letter in a word. And here are the final forms. Now, 5 Hebrew letters have final forms. When one of these letters occurs at the end of the word, it is written differently than when it appears at the beginning or in the middle of the word. The changing of a letter's form does not change its pronunciation nor its transliteration. Now, here are the 5 forms, their regular form and their final form. You have here the calf, and in its final form, it squares off and drops down. You see it there in the red. Here we have the Hebrew word derek for road, and you can see the final form of the calf there. Now, the mem has, you see it in its regular form. It looks a little like a cursive G, but in its final form, it completely closes off and looks like an upside down Q. And the mem has the sound. Here we have the word Remember, the yod is silent. The aleph is silent, and it's pronounced and it means nation or people. Then the noon, you have it in its regular form. Let's see, having to do this backwards. You have it in its regular form here, and its final form there. And it kind of just has a little top and then goes straight down. Here you have zakan, and zakan is the Hebrew word for old man or elder. Then you have your pei, and the pei in its regular form, you see it in the black there, its final form in the red. Here is the word kasp, and it's translated money or silver. And then you have the sade, and the final form of the sade. And this word, aleph resh sade, is eretz, and it's translated earth or land. You'll need to memorize not only the alphabet, you'll need to memorize those final forms. Remember, the final form does not change the sound nor the transliteration. It just changes in appearance. Now, there are 6 letters in the Hebrew alphabet that compose what we refer to as the Begad Kapat letters. Now, the Begad Kapat letters have 2 possible pronunciations. To distinguish between the 2 pronunciations, there's a dot that's placed inside the letter, and it's called the Dagesh lean. Now, you're going to learn about another Dagesh later on called a Dagesh forte, but this Dagesh lean is inserted into the consonant, and the presence of the Dagesh lean indicates a hard pronunciation, and its absence denotes a soft pronunciation here in these Begad Kapat letters. Here, let's look first at the bet. You see the bet with the Dagesh lean, and it has the hard b, as in boy, sound. Without the Dagesh lean, it takes a v, as in vine, sound. Then the gimel with the Dagesh lean has the hard sound g, as in God. But without the Dagesh lean, it has a g, as in a guest. And you can kind of catch the idea there. The dalet with the Dagesh lean has the hard sound as in day. Without the Dagesh lean, it has the DH sound as in da or the. Here the kaf with the Dagesh lean has the hard K sound as in king, but without it, it has the h sound as in bach. The pei, the pei with the Dagesh lean has the hard P as in pastor. Without the Dagesh lean, it has the f as in alphabet. Then the ta, T as in toy with the Dagesh lean, and without it, th as in thin. You will need to remember all of these and have them committed so that you are well aware of them. Now, 4 of the Hebrew letters are called gutturals. They're called gutturals because they are pronounced in the back of the throat. There's the aleph, the he, chet, ayin, and resh. And resh is sometimes a guttural, not always. but you will need to memorize these 4 gutturals and commit them to memory. Know them and know them well. So far, what I've asked you to memorize: the alphabet, the Begay Kapat letters, and your gutturals. Those are all significant for you, and I can't tell you enough how important it is that you commit them to memory. Now, I'm not going to ask you to memorize anything else for this chapter. I'll do it for chapter 2. But this is just a little sheet that shows some of the letters that are easily confused. The bet and the kaf are easily confused. But if you look, the bet is more squared off and the kaf is rounded. The gimel and the noon. The gimel has a fork at the bottom and the noon does not. The hay and the het. The hay has a space at the top and the het does not. The seen and the sheen, you'll just remember, you'll need to memorize which dot goes over which prong. And then the final mem and a samik. The final mem is squared off and the samik is rounded. The daleth is squared and the resh is rounded. The zadeh has that sharp 90-degree angle at the bottom and the ayin does not. Then the wow and the zayin. The wow, the cross at the top goes all the way across, and the wow, it does not. Then the wow and the final noon. The only difference there is that the final noon goes down long and drops below the line. And then your final kaf and your final noon. The noon is rounded and short at the top, and the kaf, the final kaf, is longer and squared off. And the Hebrew consonants that sound alike: your tet and your ta with the dogish lean, your kof and your kaf with the dogish lean, your samik and your seen. So those are just things that you can be aware of and familiarize yourself with. Now, some modern pronunciations that might help you. The pronunciation of modern Israeli Hebrew differs in a number of ways from what is considered to be the traditional or ancient pronunciation, though many differences could be observed. The most notable involve the pronunciation of gimel, daleth, ta, and wa. Gh, g, as in gast, but the modern pronunciation is g. The dh, as in the, is the traditional, and d, as in day. The th versus the t, and the w versus the v. Now, I am not going to ask you to speak Hebrew this semester. Our goal for this class, both first and second semester, is to allow you to become proficient, or at least be given all the tools to be proficient at reading the Masoretic text. So don't worry too much about reading and pronunciation right now. The big thing for chapter 1, memorize your alphabet, memorize your final forms, memorize your Begay Kapat letters, and memorize your gutturals. Those are extremely significant, and I've given you enough work for one session. I'll see you again in just a few minutes for session 2.